Day one of the NFL draft is in the books, and there were no trades from the San Francisco 49ers. I'm excited. You're excited. I got the one and only John Chapman in the building, and we ready to kick off day two. Let's get this joint popping, baby.
Breezy this, breezy that. They know I'm gold-blooded. I got the Niners on my back, you know. Breezy this, breezy that. Ain't nobody working like Breezy, and that's a fact.
The one and only John Chapman is in the building. What's going on, baby?
Dude, last night was incredible. The draft, I freaking love it. Niners didn't trade up like you talked about. All those rumors about all the players leaving, and here we are. Much ado about nothing, as usually is the case with certain media members. And I'm ready for day two, baby. Ready for day two.
Well, now, John, it's funny because I don't know if you had a cup of coffee in between the time we did the intro. Right. Because, guys, if you would have saw us behind stage, we were asleep. Okay, we were waiting. It was the longest countdown to hit the start button. Listen, John and I, Peachy, my man Chuck, we were on last night for over 4 hours and brought you draft coverage. And it was amazing, right? Because you got to see us not get a pick, right, John? I think that's what made it boring. What was one of the most interesting things about last night's first round in the draft that probably something we've never seen before? What struck your
all
attention?
the trades.
Wow.
It was they were freaking packing them in there. And I loved certain teams got jumped. The Cowboys got screwed over. The Jets got screwed over in the trades. I thought that was hilarious. And so that was a lot of fun. Just trades. Cardinals. I hate the Cardinals. And I think that they did something really smart. Building first round draft capital for next year. That was really, really smart by them. And so a lot of movement. We like trades. Trades are always fun, and excited for day two because I think we're going to have a lot more.
Yeah, a lot. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I can't wait till tonight. It's going to be fun. I know we don't draft till late technically. That doesn't mean that the 49ers don't try to move up. It's going to be fun to watch. I can tell you that right now. John, you're going live tonight, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll be live all day too. And you're going live tonight as well. So we've got you covered everywhere.
We got you covered, guys. So you're going to have to open up 2 different browsers. I would ask you, get Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever. Have the John 49ers Rush on one and Nothing But Niners and the Wayne Breezy on the other, all right? So that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to watch both shows simultaneously. You can put captions on one of them if you need be, all right? Look, John, I'm really excited about this and what's about to go down with the San Francisco 49ers. They have a plethora of picks. They have 11 draft picks. And, you know, I'm okay if they stay pat at 11 players. I mean, we need the players on the roster anyways. Do you still think, after what you witnessed in the first round, there's going to be a lot of depth that's going to fall to the 49ers? Do you feel like we should continue to draft that with 11 picks, or do you think the 49ers may possibly still try to move up?
I want to move up and to move down. I want to stick with that. If one of these kind of top 50, top 60 players falls to that 75 range, I want to get aggressive and go grab them. But if you do that, I also want to jump back because I think what the 49ers have been so successful at with all these late round picks, I don't want to sacrifice that. So I don't care if the picks, this might sound blasphemous. We have 3 5th round picks currently. I would be fine jumping up, losing one of those 5th rounders. If we drop back and pick up like a 6th, that's something that I would like because I want the dart throws. I don't care necessarily exactly where they are. I know they've been great in the 5th, but I want to be aggressive up and be smart getting down to keep the amount of chances that the 49ers currently have.
Now, I don't know if look, I'm so infatuated with the 49ers drafted in the 5th round. Like, I don't want to see them move out of the 5th round. I'm okay with dropping back and giving up a 3rd and getting a 4th. But getting a 6th, the 49ers really don't hit the nail on the head drafted in the 6th round. I mean, like, we got Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round, but, I mean, look how that's panning out. We got one good year out of him, you know what I mean? But hopefully he's healthy and he's good to go this year. But I don't know if I want to drop back into the 6th. We got 4 7th round picks. maybe we package some of those joints up and maybe move up and get another sixth or something like that, or take a seventh and a third and try to move up in the third. I don't know. I don't mind moving up in the third or dropping back in the third. I don't know if I want to give up those fifth round picks. It just seems like from our 49er draft history, since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch has taken over, right? It just seems like that round is the money round. Do you really want to give up the money round?
What? Okay, so let me ask you if you prefer this. We already have 3 third-round picks next year. Would you rather part with one of the future 2024 picks? Because we have a first rounder, a second rounder, 3
Three thirds.
Like, we've got a lot of picks next year.
I totally forgot about the future, John. I'm so stuck on
You and
now.
Kyle Shanahan both. We all could be gone by Sunday, right?
So I'm thinking about right now, right? And so, but no, because that plays a big factor in what the 49ers may do in the draft. So there are 3 third round picks next year. You can move on for some of those guys, like, you know what I mean? And so interesting that you brought that up. I'm glad you are where you are. I just don't want to give up those 5th round picks, John. I just,
Gotcha.
It's something about us drafting in the 5th round. We're not always all on the money. Like, I'm hoping Samuel Womack pans out this year. You know, he's a 5th round pick. Usually they do. And he had flashes that he was going to be somewhat of a good player for the 49ers. So we'll see what happens this year. But there's some really good, because of the way that the depth has fallen, and a lot of players didn't get that was supposed to go first round, didn't get drafted in the first round, which means now they're going to get pushed to the second round and perhaps early top third round. The 49ers may need to trade up in that third round to get one of those premier players that have first or second round grades.
Somebody's going to be there. I mean, we're already starting to see it develop where these guys are. I have Joey Porter as a top 10 player on my board. I don't know what happened there, but he's still available. Will Levis, he dropped the quarterback. You've got the best guard in the class, Osiris Torrance. Jalen Hyde, if you want a deep threat, I don't think the Niners do. We already have Danny Gray. He's a better version of Danny Gray, but he's still there. The best center in the draft. You've got elite tight ends out the walls. Like, there are still so many guys available there. Now, I think it's a little too much for the Niners to jump up now, but some of those guys will fall. And whenever they do, that's where you got to look and be aggressive, right? And so the Niners still got a ways to wait. I don't think they're jumping up in the second, especially not the top half of the second, but there's going to be opportunities to go grab a guy.
If you had to grab a guy, if there was a guy, and we're gonna get into this a little bit later because we're gonna do a mock draft simulator, current one, so that everybody can see who was taken already and who may be available. But if there was one guy to trade up to get, who is John Chapman going to grab?
Derek Hall out of Auburn edge. That's the guy that I would want to go get. He's Nolan Smith. I have him ranked ahead of Nolan Smith. Everybody's loving what the Eagles did, and I think what they did was great for they build their strength. I get it. But Derek Hall out of Auburn, in my opinion, is a better football player than Nolan Smith is. Does he have the elite traits? He's a little bit ticked down just on everything. But he's one of the guys, and then you're looking at tight ends and tackles. There's options there as well. You said one guy. That was hard for me, Wayne.
I had to make it one guy. And shout out to everybody that's watching the show on both channels. We're live on the 49ers Rush channel. We're live on the Wayne Breezy channel as well. Shout out to everybody out there. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both.
Yes.
All right. Darnell Washington. Will he be the next tight end drafted over your boy Michael Mayer?
Yeah, that's weird to me, that Michael Mayer's still there. The problem is this. It's the problem of scarcity, right? There's so many good tight ends. And everybody was saying, man, we could have 4 tight ends go in the first round. But there's so much quality, teams were fine waiting. And so, yeah, it depends on what you want. I think Michael Mayer, I had him really, really high. I don't think that he should be going off the board real early, but we'll just have to wait and see what that looks like. So, but Darnell Washington's incredible. I personally would take Mayer considerably ahead of him. He does everything, but we'll see. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see what that looks like.
It's going to be awesome. Jim Mitchell, caught the John and Wayne show. What's up from Cambodia? What's going on? Thank you for joining the stream. We appreciate you out there. Shout out to all the Breezy's Bunch members. When John is here, I get right to the kit and caboodle of the show. My bad. But shout out to all the Breezy Bunch members.
Man. This is awesome.
No, because I we just dive right in, bro. Like that's kind of like what we do. Like it's dive right in. Let's talk about the no trades on day one for the 49ers because all the rumors that were going out were about Trey Lance being traded and Brandon Ayuk to me was the more realistic day one trade in my opinion. I didn't feel like Trey Lance was going to be a day one trade. I didn't feel like anyone was going to give up a first round pick. But if there was a team that was willing to give up a first round pick, it was going to be one of those four teams that had ties to the San Francisco 49ers. But we saw Houston kind of blow that out of proportion. They went and got their quarterback, right? The Jets is like they went and got Aaron Rodgers. Those were two teams. The Titans might have been another team, all right? They seemed to have gone a different way as well. And so Trey Lance, the 49ers weren't going to get whatever the compensation is, whatever the price tag they set out there for the trade, they weren't going to get it back. And Trey Lance is going to remain a 49er, in my opinion and in your opinion, right? Let's talk about the Brandon Ayuk. I was a little nervous about this one. You weren't. I was. I was hoping that the 49ers wouldn't give up on this guy because of money, and they didn't. So were you surprised? Were you not surprised? What were your thoughts?
Once we got into the 20s and you had the four wide receivers go in a row, that was where it would have taken place because you had the wide receiver needy teams. The value of those draft picks kind of match the market value of what Ayuk would be a late first or whatever. And so once those took place, I was just like, all right, it's gone. I didn't think it was going to happen because you've got young quarterbacks, Super Bowl windows open. Why would you remove one of those options that you have another cheap year on? If you're going to move on Ayuk, I always tell people this, and I understand the logic. Man, we should probably move on Ayuk. Are we going to be able to pay him long term? I understand that rational thinking. I get it. But the answer is you don't have to solve that till next year. Correct. So once you look at the numbers, he's cheap this year. He's cheap.
He's cheap this year, and he's about $14.5 million next year. So
and then
next
you
year,
can trade him then if you don't want him. Like if you don't want to pay him, you would trade him next year.
I see what you're saying. You can trade a player on a
fifth-year option.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Damn it, we got to do this one more year.
Yeah. Well, okay, because they're not going to extend him until training camp.
Until training,
what they do, and that would be training camp of next year, not this year.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. All right, and that makes more logical sense, right? Like you get him on the cheap year this year. Next year, you put the tag on him this year. Next year, if he's $14.5 million, you can't work out a deal. You move on, right? You find a way to trade him to a different team. And you look for another wide receiver to draft. It's kind of sucks for us because we've all fallen in love with Brandon Ayuk because of what he does. Like he does all the intangible things. Great blocking wide receiver. We went through that exercise on your show. Great blocking wide receiver, can catch the ball. Touchdowns are high. Like he's over 1,000 yards finally. And how hard is it to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver on this offense, John?
It's hard. It's difficult, man. There's not a lot of 1,000-yard receivers, but let alone a run first team. Let alone George Kittle, 11 touchdowns. You got CMC getting all that he gets. You got Debo. Like, he even put it out there. He's the fourth option, and he got 1,000 yards.
He was being facetious, though.
Right.
But I got you.
It fits. And so he's just a perfect fit. And they had to build him into this. You know, I call him Frankenstein because Fred Warner turned him into just an absolute monster that's out there picking fights with middle linebackers now. Like, why would you give up on this? You molded him into exactly what Kyle Shanahan and, you know, he was a finesse wide receiver at Arizona State. Now he's a junkyard dog and he's blocking his ass off. He's doing everything. He's an Iron Man, led the team in snap. Why walk away? You got the fit. Be happy with the fit, ladies and gents. It works. It works. It's like Wayne Breezy's flag. It is freaking badass, and it fits.
It's the Iron Man flag right there. That junk looks pretty, man.
It's so cool.
Shout out to my boy Joe, man. Dirty Designs 909 on Instagram. If you guys looking to get your own personal stuff made up, that's who you want to hit up. Tell them Breezy sent you. But if you are looking for a flag, let me know. Send me a DM. You can hit me up via Instagram, via Twitter, or whatnot, and I'll let you know how much they cost. These are big flags, the 3x5s. I suck at measurements, so I had no idea what the hell a 3x5 was. I'm thinking of a postcard or some junk, and so I'm like, yo, man. Yeah, 3x5 is cool. But, I'm thinking this is the regular size of the flags we get. I got this joint, bro. I was able to wrap my body up in it 2 times, bro. like 2 times. So they're big flags, guys, and they got those little holes in them. You don't gotta poke holes in them. They all come clean, and they're black. I got them in black and red, and then I got them in red and gold, and then gold and red. So we got some different options. But John, I like that the fact that the 49ers, and John Lynch talked about them staying, kind of like, not giving up on Trey and or Brandon Ayuk. He kind of put it out there, but he also left the questions kind of open ended, which allowed people to come in and say certain things. So it's not like he made it concrete clear. You just either believe everything he says and know him, or you don't. And so that's why there was so much, going back and forth with the trading of Trey Lance, and people feel like Trey Lance may get moved. But let's talk about day 2, because that's the day that matters. Will the 49ers somehow become aggressive? In my opinion, Ayuk, Lance, safe, right? Safe. They're safe. Let's talk about some other players that may be unsafe on day 2. You talked about going up, grabbing a guy that could come in and be a day one, problem, right, in a good way. And so let's talk about any day 2 guys that you feel like may be moved.
Yeah. I here's what I think is interesting. If you look at this draft, I had 23 first rounders. Now, again, I don't remove players from my rankings. So, like if they're medicals or whatever, or not a scheme fit or problems, I keep them on there. So my number's a little higher than most teams. But second rounders, I got 40 grades. Third rounders, I got 43 grades. This is the strength of this draft now. The depth. And John Lynch talked about this. So if we're talking about, like, you want to know about Niners players that could be traded, like that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So Elijah Mitchell, Juwan Jennings, you're looking on cheap rookie contracts that a team would want to build upon, because if you're not going to bring these guys back, then those would be the type of guys. Kinlaw comes to mind, but it doesn't make sense. That contract's just not very tradable. It's a strength of the team. But, the 2 names that come to mind first and foremost for me would be Juwan Jennings, Elijah Mitchell, and maybe Ambry Thomas, but he's more of a day 3 move guy. Like, it might pull like a 7th rounder or something like that. But those types of guys that aren't the man, are you going to bring back Juwan? Are you going to pay 3 wide receivers? I don't think so. I don't want to see him go, and I don't want any of those players traded, but those would make the most sense to me.
Very interesting, because when I think about Juwan Jennings and the $945,000 contract for this year, that's a tradable contract, bro. Any team is willing to take that on, and he could become a more focal part in a different offense, right? Where he goes from the number 3 guy to maybe the number 2 guy, or on a different offense. I think with the wide receivers being the depth in this draft being so deep, there's some guys out there that the 49ers can get on a rookie contract and continue this cycle. So they got their 2 guys, and then they keep that third one in some type of a wheel rotation. So once Debo and Brandon Ayuk start to wither out, and then these rookie guys take on those 1 and 2 roles, and then they do it again and they do it again. It's a system. And what the 49ers are doing is pretty damn cool now that I think about it. So Juwan Jennings, what do you think they'll get for Juwan Jennings? 7th round pick.
Here's the problem. Okay. Now you talk about this cycle the Niners have created. You go back to Kendrick Bourne. The Patriots let out. We tried to trade for Kendrick Bourne before they signed him in free agency. Bill Belichick said that. And so Kyle said, nope, not interested. And that was off of a bad year. That's when the Niners weren't good in 2020, right? So the question is, you're going to get a comp pick if you let him play and let him walk. So you let Juwan Jennings play out this cheap deal. Then he walks and goes signs for $5 million somewhere else. You get like a 5th or 6th round comp pick a year from now. Is it worth getting a 5th or 6th rounder now and not waiting a year versus letting him play and getting that comp pick? Because if you're not going to get a 5th round pick for him, then I'm going to say I'm not really interested, because we'll get that delayed 5th or 6th round comp pick in 2025, right? So it's delayed gratification. But yeah, if you can get me a 5th, now we're talking.
But it seems like the Niners don't really value picks the way we value. They're not hoarders, of picks, right? So they don't mind a delayed gratification if they can get a 5th in a couple of years, which is the money round for the 49ers. That's a good thing. Like for
Yeah.
the Niners, it might hurt them now, but they can draft a wide receiver. There's going to be tons of wide receivers. Wait, how many wide receivers went? 4 or 5 in the first round?
We had 4 go.
We
4
have
go.
4 go, right? And so like there are tons of other first round wide receivers still left and still available. It's crazy. So that means a guy that I like a Jonathan Mingo or Jaden Reed can easily fall to the 3rd round.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And those are guys that could come in and be scheme fits. Like, bam, day one, you line them up in the slot. Boom. And remember, 2 wide receivers that more than likely may not come back to the 49ers after this particular season. Jawan Jennings is one of them, and then Ray McLeod.
Yeah, there's lots of fits. If you need a slot guy, now the Niners are interesting because they went Trent Taylor early. You remember that was the slot guy when the Shanahan. Then they moved away with that. Jalen Hurd.
They went with the bigger
Kendrick
slot
Bourne.
guy.
Yeah. So if you want the bigger slot guy, those guys do exist. There's not as many. There are so many tiny slot dudes.
Right.
So many tiny slot dudes. And I don't think the Niners would do that. At least I hope not.
All right. So just there's news going out that the 49ers, not the 49ers, that the Lions, we talked about this yesterday because the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs and we all scratched our head. And I kept telling you that they were going to get rid of a running back. And right now, I believe that the Lions are looking to trade. They're calling teams to trade DeAndre Swift.
I do not want to trade for him.
No, not us. I'm just saying that was the news that we talked about yesterday.
But I got a couple DMs last night like, oh, can we get DeAndre Swift? Can we get DeAndre Swift?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, we don't need him.
Yeah, he's as fragile, I would argue, as Elijah Mitchell. He's got more juice and more wiggle, but
he's not as tough either. I don't know if you've he doesn't run tough. I mean, last season he had a couple of good games, but I think what happened was he was being challenged by the toughness of Jamal. What's his name? The other guy that was
Jamal
there.
Williams.
Jamal Williams,
amazing.
Right. He was the toughness, and so when you might lose your job, you kind of step it up a little bit, right? And so I think that's kind of like what it was. All right, so day 2 trades, John says possibly these are not going to happen. We're just saying look for guys like Elijah Mitchell, which we didn't touch much on. I can see them, and so these are good flips, right? If the Niners can get a 5th for a 7 and drafted Juwan in the 7th, and you can get a 3rd, and you drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 6th, you can get that's a flip to me. That's how you do it. That's how you do that there.
And so what I would do if I was going to trade one of these guys, not saying they should, but let's say we want to trade Elijah Mitchell. I would offer Elijah Mitchell in the 99 to go jump up to 75, something like that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So a package deal, combo meal, supersize that bad boy.
Super king size, super king it. Yeah.
There we go. And so just a little extra gravy to get up to where you want to go without sacrificing those 5th round picks. I'd totally be cool with that. But my guess is those guys, Niners aren't known for this, but I guess those guys would be on the roster if I had to bet, but I wouldn't be shocked if they were moved.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on how the Niners feel about Elijah Mitchell after this past season. He couldn't get healthy. It's not his fault. He just couldn't get healthy, and then not having him in the biggest game of the season too probably might have struck a different type of chord for the Niners. The Niners don't hold on to injured players like they normally have done in the past. They don't mind moving on from players, and so there's a possibility that if they draft a running back and they don't trade Elijah Mitchell could be a guy that may be on the bubble. And I know we don't see that, but look at the running backs. I know we haven't seen anything from TDP, and we haven't seen the production from Jordan Mason because he hasn't gotten the playing time, but I'd much rather see durable guys out there. So that way, it keeps the running back stable, healthy, right? And that's kind of like what it comes down to, just having running backs. And so I think we draft a running back in this draft. I hate to say it. I don't think we wait till
You've been adamant on. You've been very consistent on that.
I don't know what round it's going to be, John. Let's talk about that round 1. Let's recap it. Any other surprises? You talked about the trades earlier. There were several trades. Any other teams surprise you with any of their picks in round 1?
Yeah, Detroit, who we already talked about, I really didn't like that pick at all.
It didn't make sense.
I didn't like Jack Campbell either. So I really disagree with the Lions' philosophy on team building. I thought it was awful. They drafted 2 top 20 guys and went after the least important positions in the NFL, running back and off-ball linebacker. I did not like that. I thought that the Packers had a chance to help out their young quarterback. They went edge again and kind of overdrafted Lucas Van Ness, who I really liked, but 13th overall. Did not like that one bit. Let's see here. Another pick that I kind of didn't like. I didn't like Nolan Smith edge. I've been
Really?
adamant on this. I think it's a fine pick. The position's great. I was not high on Nolan Smith at all. Everybody else loved him after the combine, and we always get these guys. But man, I had Nolan Smith in the 50s.
Yeah.
It's a fit, and they'll develop them, and they love Georgia
That
guys.
was exactly what I was going to say, John.
But everybody wants to say the Eagles dominated, and I get that. But whenever they picked him, there were 4 edge guys I had ranked higher. And so we'll see here. The film's not amazing on him. That's all I got to say. But pick 30, we're being picky there.
I mean, when you're a team that's kind of dominant, don't you draft for fit? Like if there's a specific player that has a specific skill set that fits your team,
like Liam Neeson, specific set of skills.
I swear I was going with this, bro. Take it.
You set it up too good.
Take it. But John, I know a lot of people don't like the Nolan Smith. My good friend George, he's kind of saying some of the things you were saying about Nolan Smith, because he's a Cowboys fan, so I expected the hate. But he was kind of giving some of the same points that you were giving out about Nolan Smith. But I tried to remind him, I was like, listen, he's like the perfect fit. I mean, listen, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith. It's like the same player. Like literally. I mean, Hassan Reddick's light years ahead of him. But when you look at their ability to line up on the outside, and they just have speed. We watched what Hassan Reddick did to the 49ers over and over and over again. There's not another defensive end that would have been able to make that play. Not lined up where he was. Like, you know what I mean? And so now
that was a double tight end to his side. So it's not even a wide 9. That's a wide 11.
It's a wide 11, bro.
It was pretty uncanny what he did. And just a terrible block by
Tyler Kroft. Yeah.
Kroft.
But the thing is, he had the speed. Nolan Smith is faster.
He is.
And so it just seems like a perfect fit. I'm not saying that they killed the draft, they crushed the draft. I thought they drafted where I thought they would draft. I thought they would go and kind of fill the voids of the pieces that they lost in free agency. And that's what they did. And so I feel like the Eagles did pretty damn good in the draft. Not to be a hater or anything like that.
No, it's great. It's great. I don't want to say, like, my thing is, I'm not saying they did bad. I'm saying I'm not crowning them like an A+ in this draft like everybody else is. They got guys that fell.
I can't wait to get your grades.
Premium positions. So
we're gonna do draft grades in a second, and I can't wait to see what you give these teams that drafted in the first round, the grades. And I got to make sure I write these down because I want to make some graphics out of them. All right, so my surprise in the draft would be the New York Jets pick, Will McDonald IV. Now, I'm high on the kid. I just didn't think that he would go in the first round. He was sick during the combine, so he really didn't get a chance to participate. The combine. He did have a great Senior Bowl again. And guess who was at the Senior Bowl? Guess who coached the Senior Bowl? Like one of the Jets coaches. See what I'm saying? I wish people would pay a little bit more attention to the things that come out of our mouths, John. We're trying to tell everybody the Senior Bowl is where it's at. I promise next year I'm going to be more active. This year at the Senior Bowl, I was soaking it in. I was like I was a kid in a candy store or deer in headlights. I was just soaked everything in. I enjoyed every day. I took in much knowledge. I barely networked. I didn't try to talk to people unless they talked to me, and except for Johnny Dell. That's him and I connected. It was over. But next year I do plan to be out there and do a little bit more insight and get insight with the players and things like that. I got a bunch of stuff on the phone I never even released. But the Senior Bowl, to me, is where it's at. And you spoke about how you got NFL coaches running NFL plays, and that's the biggest game of the year that these kids can go out and show and prove who they are and what they can do. And speaking of a kid that didn't show up,
yes,
that didn't accept the invite, Will Levis. Let's talk about that. Are you surprised that he didn't go in the first round?
Yeah, that's the invite he shouldn't have accepted, is going to the NFL draft. That's what he should have left that one unopened. He should have went to the Senior Bowl. But I'm giving him a hard time. He's going to get drafted. He's going to be just fine. But yeah, he was the favorite to be the number 2 overall pick at the time of the draft. My bookie, all those places, he had the best odds to go number 2 overall out of everybody. And sure enough, here we are, still on the board after 31 picks. And I don't want to be rude. I think he's got a while to wait, because unless a team trades up, listen to these teams that start the draft off: Pittsburgh, Cardinals, Lions, Colts. They already got their guy. Rams, maybe. Seahawks, Raider. Like, he's going to be waiting. So unless a team trades up, he's going to be waiting for a little bit. 41 Tennessee would probably be the clearest fit. But
and I think they go Hendon Hooker there.
yeah, I would too.
Yeah. I don't even think it's to his own demise. Like, right, the kid had the opportunity to come out and prove. The combine is excellent, right? The combine is cool. It's kind of like you measure your abilities and all these different types of things, but you don't got no damn pads on, John. And there's not 11 people coming after you, And so it's a little bit different. At the Senior Bowl week, they practice your individual drills. Then there's, the 7-on-7s, the 11-on-11s. Like, that's where people are really trying to see what you can do. And I feel like quarterbacks like Jake Hayner and some of those guys that were out there, the Max Dugans and those guys, their draft stock either rose or kind of decreased a little bit, but they got a chance to participate at that particular game on that particular, level. And that's what's going to help them. Interesting. So Will Levis, man, he has probably a long wait, and he was there for first round. John, first pick on the board, you said, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's got to be Joey Porter Jr. there, right?
I hope so. When they traded up, I was mad. And I said it on the live show. I was like, my heart wants it to be Joey Porter, but the reason why they jumped up was to grab a tackle over the Jets. I think it was the Jets that they jumped up over.
It was smart, though. It was smart to do that. It was smart.
I just really like that kid's tape. And, man, we got the guys. You see Lee Gallen. We got Lee and Paul in the chat. This is awesome, man.
What's up, guys?
Wait, you bring them together, man. I love it.
Yep, and man, when we join forces and we stream on both networks, that's where it's at. Like, not supposed to end this with a preposition, but I don't care. It's my show. But that's where it is. You know what I mean? Hey, John, let's do some round 1 grades. All right. So
let's do it.
Let's go with the first pick, Carolina Panthers. I gotta write this down. I gotta because I gotta make a graphic. So Carolina Panthers, they draft Bryce Young.
I'm doing this off the cuff, and I'm going to be harsh. Okay.
Now, I want you to be as harsh as you want to be.
Okay. B-.
You gave him a B-.
B-. You don't trade up for a 5'10" quarterback. I like Bryce Young. He's awesome. He was the number 5 player on my board. I get it. He's great. You don't trade up. CJ Stroud should have been the guy. I could be wrong, but I don't like the trading up for the tiny quarterback. If you take him because he's there and you had him higher, that's cool. Trading up for him, that's a whole different thing for me. I'm going B-.
All right. I'm going with a B, a solid B. I think the kid still has good skill sets, and I think he's going to be able to. Yeah, he's going to come in here and eventually become a dynamic quarterback in the NFL. In spite of his size and things like that, the kid is a good football player. So I give him a B. I think it's a pretty solid pick. I mean, it's a quarterback that you can't really go wrong with. I personally would have gave him an A if they would have went with C.J. Stroud, because I just felt like he was the better quarterback in this draft. You know what I mean? So speaking of Stroud, let's go to number 2, which was the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud.
Man, you got the number 1 and 2 player on my big board. Like, from the start, they got the best 2 players in this draft. And this is a draft that lacks blue chip talent. They got 2. I love that. However, I'm going A- because they gave up their first round pick next year, not the Cleveland Browns. This is not a roster that is ready to compete. That could be a top 5 pick next year. That's what bothers me. That is a possible Caleb Williams pick. Now, they went CJ Stroud, so probably not going to go quarterback again, but that is huge, and I hate that it went to the freaking Cardinals. I'm so pissed about that, man. The Cardinals, I do not want them to get Caleb Williams. That's all I care about right now. I don't want that dude in there, so I'm going A-, but 2 blue chip players, number 1 and 2 on my big board.
Okay, so I'm going to go with an A. I do understand your theory and all that stuff, and it makes perfect sense, logic sense. But listen, they got the best quarterback in this draft. They're all in on this kid, and they're gonna build around it. They're gonna build the defense. They're gonna build the offense. You can tell what D'Amico is doing. He was very aggressive in this particular draft. They did have to give up their first round pick to get to jump up, but I like this, right, because they ended up trading. And now they got their next pick. They get their next pick. They come back to 3, which I didn't see. I don't know if anybody else saw that happening, but then now they're at 3, and then they grab Will Anderson, and you gave that a what?
Oh, sorry, I graded it as a whole. I apologize there.
Okay,
My bad.
okay.
Yeah, I gave the team as a whole the A- just because they lost, which could be a top 5 pick next year, but basically trading almost 3 first rounders essentially to go get
It's
Will Anderson, which I like.
Kind of like what we did, right?
It is, which usually happens for a quarterback, not a premium edge rusher. But
that's a good point. But that's why I was saying they took, because remember I kept saying don't take the quarterback here, get the edge rusher, and if you want to trade back up like for the quarterback, you can do so. You know,
you're right. So if we're doing individual grades per player, I'm going A+ CJ Stroud, and then I'm going B+ Will Anderson, just because I didn't like the trade parameters.
You didn't like the trade, so you're factoring in.
But
trade.
I love the player. Love the player. Just didn't
Understood.
like the trade.
We can. So yeah, let's go individual because I don't.
Cool.
We can go team. Let's go Anthony Richardson to the Colts at 4.
I'm going to go A+, not because I like Anthony Richardson, but because they sold everybody on the Will Levis BS package, and they convinced everybody they were taking Will Levis. They sat pat, and they got the alien, as Anthony Richardson refers to himself. I'm not going to lie. Like, I freaking loved. They pulled one over the whole league. So I'm going to A+ there. That was awesome. They stayed pat, got their guy, and convinced the league they were doing something totally different.
I wanted a solid A here. Look, they're going to bring some athleticism to their offense, which is something totally different than what they're used to seeing. I can guarantee you those offensive linemen are going to have a good time out there. They got a run game. Oh, my gosh. I totally forgot about Jonathan Taylor being a part. He didn't play much last year, but they're going to have some fun. Oh, my gosh. Richardson and Taylor on the same offense? Yeah. Let's go Seattle with the Weatherspoon pick at number 5.
A lot of people are going to give them the highest grades possible, and I completely understand that. The players that they got were incredible. Devin Witherspoon, a lot of people's number 1 corner. He was number 3 for me. Jackson Smith and Jigba at pick 20. That was my number 1 wide receiver, but he's a slot guy. They do use 3 wide receivers almost exclusively, so that's okay there. I'm going to give them a solid A, not an A+. Build in the trenches is my philosophy. That is not Pete Carroll's philosophy. They build from the outside in. And so you look at teams that have had sustained success, the 49ers, the Eagles, these teams that build in the trenches. That's not who the Seattle Seahawks are. But they like stars, and they like to sell tickets, and they like the outside. So they got a corner that's going to be fun, and they got a slot wide receiver that's going to be fun. They got better today for sure.
I like that. I gave them an A as well. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals. They drafted probably or arguably one of the best tackles in the draft, Paris Johnson Jr. What are you giving them?
I'm giving them an A+ because Paris Johnson Jr., number 1 tackle on my board. It's who Kyler Murray wanted, which I don't really care too much about that. But they also got all those picks for the future. So you have to put the trade and the player together. And so they are now loaded to rebuild. And every single 49ers fan in the world, you are now a Houston Texans fan. If you weren't, those guys need to win 6 games. Yeah. That needs to happen to push that pick higher up. I do not want Caleb Williams in this division.
Let's go Raiders. Tyree Wilson.
Yeah. Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. You see Coach Cruz's comment. We got some fun comments in the chat, some contributions. You see what Coach Cruz put in there?
I didn't. I see it now. I'm gonna do those, save these to the end.
Oh, y'all gotta wait for this one. This is gonna be fun. Okay, Las Vegas Raiders. They're interesting. They got Tyree Wilson, which I don't mind that. Like, I had him, I think he was like number 11 on my board. A lot of people had him as the number 1 edge, but they already have Max Crosby. They already have Chandler Jones. They had so many needs to protect their quarterback, and they just didn't do it. So I'm going A- here. Like, I get it, it's premium position, but you got to protect Jimmy Garoppolo, or we know what happens. And that offensive line is not good.
I agree with you, John. Like it just I didn't understand the pick. I mean, and what was funny was in a mock draft, I drafted an edge and I got yelled at because they didn't need the edge, and then they went with an edge. It's so funny how I knew they were going to go edge because they were going to do what Raiders do. That was the whole reason why I picked the edge. They just do dumb
Dumb.
shit.
Dumb. You could have got Skoronski, could have got Darnell Wright. You could have made Jimmy G like a formidable, like stand-up quarterback back there and protected him with bookends. Could have, but instead they went with the number 3 edge.
What was your grade again?
A-.
Gotcha. So I gave him a B minus. I mean, I know he's a great edge rusher, but I just felt like that's not where they should have went. Not at 7. They could have gotten somebody to protect their quarterback, and when they're not winning games because Jimmy needs all the protection in the world, they'll understand.
Yep.
Let's go with the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going A. I'm going solid A here. Bijan Robinson, one of the top players on my board. And again, it's similar to why I knocked the Raiders. What are the Falcons doing? They're building to see if their quarterback is going to be the guy in Desmond Ridder. So what do? You set him up for success. You build everything around him. You see what you have. And guess what? If Ridder doesn't work out, who gives a damn? You just put another quarterback in there next year. Then you move on. You have the system in place for success for a quarterback. And now we're going to find out because Bijan makes the entire offense better. And he's not just a running back. That dude is a slot wide receiver.
Yeah.
He can do everything.
He's like a Christian McCaffrey. It's funny that you said that because I did not have them getting a freaking running back. I gave him an A minus here. Again, I thought they would have went defense. I thought they would continue to build that secondary, make it one of the strongest, most feared secondaries in the league, one of the most feared defenses in the league. I didn't understand the Bijan Robinson pick. I get what you're saying, and maybe this is why they did go Bijan Robinson. But they had a 1,000-yard running back last year in Algier. I didn't understand why get another one, but he could be a different type of a weapon.
Right.
So that's probably where they're thinking and where they're going with that. No, John is not being a homer with his Texas crew. No, that's not.
I bet this. If you bet with us on our Patreon, I bet this pick, and it makes sense. And yeah, I'm a Longhorn fan, but there are a lot of people. You know, Daniel Jeremiah had him top 3 player in this draft. I did as well. Like, I love the fact that when teams are going to see who the hell their quarterback is and leave no question marks. Like, I love that. Like, we're going to figure out if Ritter's the guy really damn quick. And they paid Tyler Heineke a lot of money to be a backup. And people who kept saying, oh, they're going quarterback. I was like, dude, did you see the contract they gave Heineke? No, they paid these guys.
Good point.
But the money tells a story. Whether you like Ridder or not, I don't care about that. But man, you're putting elite offensive weapons around this team that are going to be there for a while. I like that. I like the way they're building this team. I really do.
Good point, John. All right, let's go with the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to give them a solid A. I might be the only person that doesn't give them an A+.
I gave them an A.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing the individual picks. Here we go. So I'll go an A for Jalen Carter. Obviously, the character concerns are gigantic. They took him at 9 overall. Probably should have been a top 3 pick. Nolan Smith probably should have been a top 20 pick. They waited on value. They got him there. Not my favorite speed edge rusher off the edge on the board. I had 3 others ahead of him. But, man, the Philadelphia Bulldogs, right? That's what everybody's calling them. And it makes perfect sense.
I like that a lot. Let's go the Bears. The Bears. I told you they were going to take a tackle. This made sense.
Sure
they were
did.
going after Mike McGlinchey. And they decided to get one of the best tackles, Darnell Wright, who went higher than Skoronski and some of these other tackles that were mocked to go really high. Thoughts on the Bears? What did you give them a grade? What grade did you give them?
A+. A+. Darnell Wright, perfect fit, best right tackle in the class, plug and play. They moved back twice. Remember, they had the number 1 pick.
Yes,
they
sir.
fell back to 9, then they fell back to 10, picked up a whole bunch of extra spots. A+. This is the way GMs on rebuilding teams with young quarterbacks, this is what it should look like. Now with all those extra picks, I'm taking tight ends, wide receivers, running backs. I'm just surrounding this dude with skill guys, guards. I don't give a damn about the defense right now. The Bears are far away from competing in the playoffs. You have to figure out, is Justin Fields the guy? You have to. Now, maybe they already answered that question by trading back from 1, but remember, Fields' stats, his wins, losses, interceptions, the sacks, those are major concerns. So you surround them, protect them, see if those can improve and move forward there.
I like it, man. All right, let's go with the Titans. The Tennessee Titans, they drafted Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go A. I felt like this was one of the teams that really needed a quarterback, but they need everything. This roster is devoid of talent. Skoronski can play everywhere. The problem is they have 4 guys on their team that are versatile tackle guards that just haven't worked out. I don't think Skoronski is going to be the 5th guy that's like that, but it's like, who the hell's going to play tackle on this team? Because they got like 5 guys that can play inside, outside. Where do you put them? Probably going to put them right tackle. That's where I would put them early, but we'll see. I have no clue. Like, they are the definition of positionless offensive linemen in today's NFL because they've got 5 guys that can play all 5 spots, and it's going to be musical chairs trying to place people where they should be and where they shouldn't be.
All right, I gave them an A as well. Let's go with the Lions. They drafted Gibbs and Campbell. So we'll do it together collectively as a team. I'll take yours as a team just to speed up a little bit of time. So at
F.
12, they took Gibbs.
F.
And then Campbell, they took that at 18, they took him. You gave him an F. I gave him
F.
at least a D, John. Come on.
No, dude, these are the 2 least valuable positions in the top 20. They reached on both. This does not make sense. I just now, both these guys play lights out for 6 years. We'll see, but that's what they're going to have to do to match this capital. Sorry, I got to take a drink real quick. Almost died there.
No, take a drink, man. Look, I gave him a D. Like, you're getting still star-studded quality type of players to come in. Now, how will they fit with the Lions? That's one thing. I did scratch my head a little bit about the Gibbs pick. I thought they should have went tight end here. It kind of made sense to go tight end, but maybe they don't value the tight end.
Right.
We talked about that last night. But when it came to Jahmyr Gibbs, I kept saying that he was going to go higher than a lot of people had him projected to go in the 2nd round because of his ability and what he's able to do. He's a quick, shifty guy, sort of like DeAndre Swift and what they had. I think the difference is the mindset. I thought DeAndre was quick and shifty, but he stayed injured a lot, and he kind of just didn't run hard. They're going to get a hard runner out of this smaller running back. I think Gibbs is a pretty damn good pick. He's the reason why I even gave it a D.
Yeah. It just, today's NFL doesn't make sense. If this was the 80s, awesome, but that's not where we're at.
Because the way Jack Campbell plays, yeah. I got you. Let's go with the Packers. Lucas Van Ness.
I like the player. I like the fit. I had him 15th overall. He went 13th, but I'm going to go B+. This is one of the worst offensive skill position teams in the NFL, and you got Jordan Love. And again, I think we're developing a theme here. I didn't do this on purpose, but no matter if Jordan Love plays great or bad, well, if he plays great, I think that answers the question. But if Jordan Love's bad this year, I don't think you gave him an honest opportunity to be successful. He has the worst wide receivers in the NFL, bar none. It's not even close. Why would you not surround him with some talent? I just don't see it. And every year they spend picks on defensive players, and their defense sucks regardless.
Why not go wide receiver here? Why not shake the game up a little bit? Finally give, some weapons to your offense. I just don't get it. I don't understand the Packers. Let's go with the Steelers. Surprise, they went offense, and it was an offensive tackle. They got Broderick Jones, though.
I'm going A+.
That's a solid pick, bro.
Well, again, strategery, right?
I like that word.
It's a George Bush fake word, but I love it being from Texas.
Strategery.
The fact that they jumped up over the Jets and swiped Broderick Jones was just incredible, and probably should give credit to the Patriots, who we'll talk about here in a second. But I mean, yeah, incredible move right there. I freaking loved it.
All right, let's keep it moving. We're going to speed this up a little bit. Let's go with the Jets, the green team.
Yeah, they're interesting. Everybody knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to protect the quarterback. They get jumped for Broderick Jones. They go with Will McDonald, which I think was a solid pick. But I really think this should have been a trade down team. I'm going C+.
All right, I gave him a B. on that one. So C plus B. I kind of scratched my head on it, not because of the player and who he is. I just didn't think that they were going to draft an edge. But then again, they're a defensive team, defensive minded team. They're trying to have the best
Right.
defense to deal with what they got to deal with Buffalo. Maybe we need to start thinking about their divisions a little bit more when they make these draft picks. Let's go with the Commanders.
I'm going to B. Emmanuel Forbes.
I didn't have him as a high. I didn't even have him in my top 5 cornerbacks. Maybe top 10.
I mean, he's ball skills guy. So if you value turnovers, which Ron Rivera does, I totally get it. But I feel like, again, now we're in that position where it's like, man, it doesn't matter who you take. You're kind of overdrafting, because I didn't think any of these guys that are – this is the problem with this draft. You're out of blue chip guys. So now you're just going what's left, and I don't like it. I feel like every single one of these teams was trying to trade down, and they couldn't do it. That's why the trade downs were so cheap. I don't know. Smallest corner weight-wise that's ever been drafted, 166 pounds. That scares me. A B. I'll give it a B. But who knows? Maybe he gets 6 picks and leads the NFL in interceptions.
Let's go Patriots. They got Christian Gonzalez. I gave this one an A plus. He's my number 1 corner in this draft, and the Patriots finagled back to draft this guy. What are your thoughts? What did you give him?
A plus. A plus. They traded back and got the number 1 corner in the draft, in my opinion.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. Let's go Bucks. The Bucks, they grabbed Kalijah Kancey. Defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. Smaller defensive tackle, plays strong, could get up under the pads. I gave this like a B plus.
Yeah, I'll go A minus. I love that they have their positions outlined with Vita Vea. He's their 1 tech nose, and then this is your 3 gap. Your 3 tech, which the B gap player. It's perfect fit. It's a perfect pairing. Like, I kind of like it. If there was anywhere, Kalijah Kancey was one of the hardest players to place in mock drafts for anybody. And so this just makes sense. They need a quarterback, but I'm not sure Will Levis is the answer. They're just such a weird roster. So building in the trenches makes sense to me.
All right, let's go Chargers. Chargers drafted big wide receiver, 6'3", Quentin Johnson. He just looked like a Charger the moment he stepped onto the field. Just a Charger. I give this a B plus.
Yeah, if you want a big, strong wide receiver, you didn't have options, and so like
Right.
it was
Not
this,
that many.
or you got to get Jonathan Mingo. Like, those are your 2 options. That's it. Which is why I think Mingo is going to go earlier than a lot of people think. But man, I'll go B plus.
Okay.
I'll go B plus. They needed it. It made sense. We'll see how he works with Herbert, but there's a lot of flaws in Quentin Johnson's game, and we'll see if he can kind of overcome those.
All right, you got the Baltimore Ravens. They went Zay Flowers, one of my top 5 wide receivers in this draft. I gave them an A minus for this.
I'm going A plus. Perfect fit. Perfect fit. They traded Marquise Brown to the Cardinals for a 1st-round pick, which was a steal. Zay Flowers is better than Marquise Brown ever was. And so he's going to fit that role. We saw that fit. The space separator with Lamar Jackson long-term. I freaking love this pick. It was a perfect pairing. If I could have picked one team for Zay Flowers to go to that's best for him, I would have said the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, we got a few more guys. All right, we got the Vikings. Also went wide receiver. All right, they went Jordan Addison. Nice compliment to Justin Jefferson. So, J.A. and J.J., what are your thoughts? I gave this an A.
Yeah, I'm going A minus. I wasn't the biggest on Jordan Addison's tape, but he can play outside. It creates space even though he's small. So I'm going A minus here. Yeah, he's a fun player. I think this would be good. He'll have a little bit of a learning curve, but he's going to do just fine there.
Let's go Giants. Giants went cornerback Deontay Banks from Maryland. All right. I gave them, I thought they should have went Joe. If they were going to go cornerback, I thought they would go Joey Porter. I gave this a B.
Yeah, I'm going to go A minus. I like Banks. They're building on speed. Wink Martindale, he loves his corners. I mean, we knew it was going to be a corner. We just didn't know which one. So A minus for me.
All right, Buffalo Bills went Dalton Kincaid, first tight end off the board, only tight end in the 1st round. Buffalo Bills, now they'll have him and Dawson Knox, I believe, as their tight ends. What did you give this one?
I'm going to go A minus because they jumped the Cowboys and took their player, which I love. I probably would have gave this a B. I'm not the biggest Dalton Kincaid guy. He's a spread offense only player, not physical at all, injury history, but playmaking ability through the charts. And if you're jumping to steal Jerry Jones's guy, I'm questioning your ability to pick a guy anyway, because I don't want to agree with Jerry Jones on anything.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go Cowboys. The Cowboys, they took Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. They get a big guy in there, plug the middle, stop the run. I gave them an A minus.
I'm going to go solid B. It's a perfect scheme fit. The lack of production is a major concern. This was a pick that was, you brought this up on the live show. This is a pick to match with Micah Parsons. That's the whole idea here. But I do not think I didn't have Mozzie Smith as a first round player. Production just not there, but the fit's perfect.
Let's go to Jacksonville Jaguars. Anton Harrison, which I had higher on my board than you had as far as offensive tackles. Oklahoma, Jacksonville drafted Anton Harrison. What did you give this one?
I'm going to give it an A. Trade back, trade back, trade back. Get a perfect scheme fit. Protect your quarterback. So I like it. I really do like the way they did it. Balky did pretty well here. Just going to be honest.
First time ever.
I don't like saying.
It's okay. Miles Murphy to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a B plus for me.
Yeah, I'm going A minus. I'm not the biggest Miles Murphy guy, but that's where we're at in the draft. I thought safety would have been a better pick here, but that's okay.
Right. They lost their safety. Saints went with defensive tackle Brian Breesy. This is an A minus for me.
I'll go B plus. They've got a lot of holes on their team. I thought edge would have been the play there. I thought that's where the value was, but Brian Brees is a good player, so we'll go B plus. But I don't really like what the Saints did right here. Thought they had too many needs elsewhere, but that's okay.
And then the Chiefs capped it off with Felix Anudike Uzoma.
I'm going to go A minus. You take what falls to you. They do this every year. You just take what's there. And my favorite thing is they didn't get Jordan Addison. That was the one place I didn't want him to go because he would have been perfect with Patrick Mahomes. And I'm so glad he didn't get him. I'm very thankful for that.
I am too. All right, let's go ahead and do these super chats because they've been waiting patiently and I want to get to them. So I'm going to do the foghorn for everybody right now. We're going to get the super chats going. It's the super chat segment of the joint. All right, now check this out. My man Eddie G in the place to be says, I say use your picks to trade if someone is there. Don't end up like the Cowgirls. Great show last night, and I look forward to the Niners picks tonight. Shout out to Eddie G, man. Appreciate you, family.
Thank you.
I agree with him. And that's what. But John said that. He said, "Look, we try to move up all the time. We're trying to move around. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that. So we'll see what happens. All right.
But don't overpay. Don't overpay.
Don't over freaking pay. Jax Knox is in the building. She says it's draft day for us. Let's go, Wayne and John. Great show last night. The best to do it. I hope we get Jair Brown. He'll be available. No safeties went in the first round. They will go in the second round though.
Yeah, it's time. Every year, running backs, off-ball linebackers, safeties fall, unless you're the Detroit Lions. They fall all the time. And so, yeah, they're going to be available there. I don't know if Jair will be there, but, man, I would love for him to be on this team. I don't value safety, but I do value Jair Brown a lot.
He would be perfect fit for the 49ers, too, by the way. Coach Cruz is in the place to be. He says, I talked to Shane. Is it Steichens? Steichen's uncle a few weeks ago, as he owns a spot store in Northern Cal. He hinted at Richardson. I should have used my bookie. Dang it.
You should have, man. You would have got paid there. Everybody had Will Levis going. Everybody did.
Everybody. Me too. I mean, I just thought he looked like he's fit that particular organization as a quarterback. You know what I mean? I thought he was the perfect fit for them. They were going to go, not Andrew Luckish, but they were going to go back to that type of style of quarterback play. Instead, they decided to go after the athletic, the guy that could come in and make big plays. This is going to be so awesome to watch. Tim Robinson. Shout out to Tim, man. Good morning, gentlemen. You anticipate any big moves by us today? John, any big moves by us today?
Not too much. I'd say watch pick 75. If the Niners are going to move, that's where it's going to be the red hot territory. So once 75 gets on the board, that's where my ears are going to perk up, and that's when I'm like on high alert, right? Like ready for something to go. So that's the territory I want to see.
There you go. As far as me, I just want to see them draft the right players. That's all I care about. I don't know if we get big moves. I'm hoping there's no trades. I'm hoping we bring back the guys that that we've had. This team, these players, I want them to win a Super Bowl so bad. So I'm hoping none of the players on our team gets traded. I don't mind if they trade a pick or here or two to do what they need to do to get better. But that's what the 49ers are going to be doing. They're going to be looking to see ways that they can improve their team now and for tomorrow. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they attack the draft on today. Will they be aggressive? Will they stay passive because that's the way the board is falling to them? Sometimes that's just how it works, man. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. John, do you have time to do one more exercise, or do we need to get out of here?
Let's go. And we
Let's
just got a
do it.
good trade question too come
Okay.
through.
All right. So pop up that trade question. All right. And we'll get that going. Let me just get rid of this
It
real
won't
quick.
let me pop it up. You the control man.
Got you. All right. I'll pop up the trade question. All right. Where is it? Who is it?
Kane 317. It's
All
a
right.
super chat. There it is.
Here we go. That's the easiest way to see these. All right. Kane 317, Rider, Elite, RC. What's going on, family? As a Titans fan, would you trade for our two and give us would you trade Trey for our two and give us him and 75?
Big no, hard no. I wouldn't do Trey straight up for your two. I like that's just me. So I would say no to both those things. We're not going to get an impact player that's going to improve our team. I'd much rather keep a 22-year-old quarterback. I think his value would be higher next year. That's my take on it.
Appreciate the super chat contribution, Kane. Yeah, me too. Like, if Trey doesn't have a couple of first round picks attached to his name, he's not going anywhere. The 49ers are in the place where they can have their cake and eat it too. They'll still have Brock Purdy recovering. I think Trey Lance is going to get the green light. He's going to go out there and show the world what he can do. And we're going to be 49er fans will be glad. I can promise you that. It's going to be interesting and exciting to watch Trey Lance go out there and smack everybody in the mouth. All right. PFF, we want to do this current mock draft simulation. All right. And so if you guys are paying attention, they already have done the first round. It's already filled in. It's current. And we're going to draft for the 49ers. So this is going to be super quick. All right. Because we only doing the 3 rounds, I believe. That's what we're going to do. I can't remember what I put it on now because we did this at the beginning of the show. All right. So the Steelers are on the clock. All right. And let's see if they go Joey Porter here. I'm interested to see. Let me slow it down just a little bit. I'm interested to see if they went
Will Levis. Yeah, this is where PFF and the AI machine kind of goes crazy, a little hectic sometimes.
Wow.
And that's okay. That's okay.
I just want to see who's available, like when we get to our picks.
Yeah.
All right. Some of the same guys. Marvin Mims is there. Corey Trice is there. John. And who did I say I wanted? Jaden Reed, but the Browns took him.
Right before us.
Mother truckers, yo. All right, John. With knowing who's available, like the top players, Tajay Spears is there. Nick Saldiveri is there. Why do I get this funny feeling, John? They may not go trenches here.
It's possible. You've been big on running back and safety. You like those two positions.
I don't know why. I just feel like they never address them early, and I feel like now they can. You know, it comes down to a time where you have to go trenches. You have to do this. You have to do that. The 49ers don't have to. They currently have their roster set, and they can draft a tackle that they may feel could come in here and develop and could compete, but it doesn't necessarily have to be one of those top tackles that we miss, which I do want to see who's available. So, John, who and what are we picking? What position are we picking? I like Wanya Morris. I like Braden Daniels.
There's a lot of guys there that I like. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay.
Saldiveri, Wanya Morris, and Daniels, I like those 3 guys, and I would be fine with either of them in the 3rd round.
So at 99, who are the 49? What position are the 49ers addressing first? Trenches?
Tackle, edge, tight end.
Bam. So those are that's what we're going to look to pick.
Those 3.
All right. So you want to go tackle here? That's actually
might as well. Let's pick between one of these 3. You know, if I'm looking at just, my personal big board and where I have these guys, I have Braden Daniels higher. He's a guard tackle. He's both, but then Sal DeVary would be my next guy. So those, if I'm just looking at my own personal rankings, those are the two where I'm like, all right, these two guys.
Oh, they took Jair Brown. The Raiders, the Raiders are listening to our show. All right, AI. I see what's going on because I wanted to go safety here. All right. I see what they're doing. All right, so we went tackle with our first pick. Let's check the edge.
Yeah. Hell yes.
Now, I like Nick Herbig, but he's an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. Has slow speed. Not sure if he'll fit big with the 49ers, even though he's available. He's ranked high. Don't think he's a good fit. KJ Henry was one of the last players that they brought in. They had a meeting with him. I think it was via Zoom or whatever just a couple of days ago. There's a possibility he could be somebody that could candidate. And you know I love Yaya Diaby because he's going to give you production from the outside. I'm talking sacks on sacks. And you know what he brings? Speed. John, any edge rushers you like?
Yeah. I'm so high on Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, let's do it. Bam. All right. So we did what John and I did is what the 49ers typically would do if they had like first or second round picks and they needed edge. They always go trenches. They always go in the trenches. Like they look for those two positions when they need. And so we addressed the tackle, we addressed the edge. John wants to look at tight ends.
We can get crazy. You want to get crazy? Let's get crazy.
Let's go Cougar for Cocoa Puffs, John.
Let's do it, man. You see how he just X'd out on tight end quick as soon as he said that.
As soon as you said let's go crazy, I thought of the little purple guy. All right. So looking at value, I like Corey Trice, big guy. Marvin Mims is a wide receiver. Why do I feel like we're going to go wide receiver here, John?
I love Marvin Mims.
I love Marvin Mims, John.
He's pretty freaking fun. He's pretty fun.
Schoonmaker is there. Dwayne McBride is there. Roshan Johnson is there. But Jamie
a lot of
Robinson
guys
is there too. Oh.
Yeah. This is your call, man. You're making this choice here.
Oh, I get to make the choice?
Yeah, you making this choice right here.
Let me just, I got to look at the safeties, man. I really feel like, I know we're probably going to address the safeties a little bit later, but when I look down and I look at the depth of the safeties, there's guys, Brandon Joseph is there, Quindell Johnson is there.
Anthony Johnson's there from A&M.
Javarius Owens is there. We can get a safety later, John.
I agree.
Yeah, all right. So I just needed you to agree. All right.
Unless you're high on Anthony Johnson. Like if you really like that
Anthony Johnson, but he's the Jimmy Ward 2.0 guy. Like he's not going to get you the interceptions, but he's going to make sure he's rapping, he's tackling, he's in on every play. Is that what we want, or do we want playmakers? Do we want ball hawks?
I'm playmakers. I'm always playmakers, man.
I want to look at the other wide receivers. Michael Wilson is there out of Stanford. They have been looking at a bunch of Stanford players. Kayshawn Booty is there. Xavier Hutchinson is there. Charlie Jones is there. Bryce Ford Wheaton is there. Where do you want it? Raheem Jarrett is there. This is interesting. I don't know why I want to draft Marvin Mims. I don't know.
He's my highest wide receiver available by far. But what do you got to? I mean, he's a tiny Brandon Ayuk, right?
Tiny Brandon Ayuk, John.
Yeah.
Do we go tight end here?
Brenton Strange is my top tight end. Josh Weil. Is Josh Weil gone? I think he is.
Nope, he's not.
He's still there. But they're low on him. So Josh Weil's always there on PFF. So let's don't do him. I do him too often. Brenton Strange would make the most sense. I've got a 3rd round grade on him.
So why Brenton Strange over Schoon?
I think that the problem with Schoon with me is age, athleticism, and he's not like an ace of anything. He's just really good at everything. Brenton Strange is an ace of physicality, body size, blocking, all those things. Now, Brenton Strange is just a bulldozer too. So like he's just kind of a tough, physical, and scores touchdowns like crazy. Schoonmaker does more things, but I think Brenton Strange, you can hang your hat on a few things that like these are elite traits.
Okay.
But I like them both. I love them both. Like I have them 2 spots from each other on my tight end rankings. Like I'm a Shoemaker guy. Tajay Spears there.
Tajay Spears is smacky. The only thing you're not the only thing you don't get from Tajay Spears that I've been adamant on is like 0 to 40 speed. And so do I value football speed, playmaking ability, and all of that type of stuff over the home run speed? Because I'm looking at Keaton Mitchell, that's home run speed. I feel like Israel Abinaconda, home run speed. But who would be the better back for the Niners?
This is your call there. Come on, man. You're the running backs coach, and you feel like there's one of those guys that, stands out that you just got to have. We went tackle and edge. We went
It's
trenches
got to be
early.
Tajay Spears. I got to go with Tajay
I knew
Spears,
you
man.
would. I knew you would.
I don't want the 40 speed like and I did it, god dang it. And look what I got, mother suckers. A mother freaking A- on the Spears pick. Y'all
There
can
you
eat
go.
it and weep it or whatever they say in that damn saying.
And they will. They will.
I'm telling you, this boy is dynamic. You had to see it in person. I'm telling you. Like, all they did, John, was talk about Tajay Spears, and I'm like, how does this kid keep making plays? Like they throw it to him, playmaking, route running, playmaking, pass protection, playmaking, running between the tackles, playmaking, getting stopped in the backfield, shaking guys off, playmaking. The smallest guy in the field, still playmaking. I understand he had the injuries, but he looked really damn good at the Senior Bowl. And we just talked about Senior Bowl players with Senior Bowl results get drafted.
Let me ask you this. I have two questions about this. Number one, if you get Tajay Spears, that somebody's got to go. So which running back is not going to make the roster or is going to get traded?
It's gonna see. That's what I think the 49ers showed us something about their running back situation. They don't care if they mess up. They don't care if somebody didn't work out. If you get outperformed, your ass is gone.
Yeah.
And we watched that. We watched a third round pick that the 49ers used. It was a comp pick, but they used it anyway to get a running back. And we watched him get Audi 5,000. And so he got beat out. Now, Tajay Spears is going to bring physicality. He's going to bring playmaking ability. And if he can pass protect like I said he could, there's a possibility that they move on from a TDP guy because Tajay Spears can break tackles too. There's a possibility that they trade Elijah Mitchell and keep all the young guys because they're on cheaper contract. Like there's just so many things they can do. I think the running backs, there's one running back that the 49ers are zoned in on because they got to pay money, but they want to keep Christian McCaffrey fresh. And so the best way to do it is to give him some dynamic help in the running back stable.
Okay, so next question about this running back pick. Do you remember the room in Vegas when they announced Ty Davis Price? Do you remember the room?
Do I remember the room? The room.
How everybody reacted.
The room went silent because we were like, who, what, when, where,
I thought they were going to tear that damn place apart, man.
Yeah. Well, the difference between TDP and Tajay Spears is if they've been watching the Wayne Breezy show or the 49ers Rush show, they know who Tajay Spears is. I didn't know who TDP was going into that draft. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
I didn't know who he was. We had to go up and look up research and things like that, And so, I mean, it's a possibility Jordan Mason doesn't make the squad. Like, there's a possibility. Like, that's the whole point.
That would be so dumb. That would be so dumb.
But why would it be dumb, John?
Because he proved how great he was.
John, what did he prove? John, he ain't did shit.
Jordan Mason?
He didn't get an opportunity to really do much in the NFL.
Right, but what he did with his opportunity was incredible.
It was amazing, but what if they feel like they could get better production from a different player? I don't know. I don't want him gone. I'm just saying they're going to bring in competition, and if you get outworked, to me, Jordan Mason adds value to this team because what he can do on special teams better than any of the other running backs.
He averaged 6 yards per carry and shut down the end of the game. But it was when they were trying to milk the clock. Like, how many games did Jordan Mitchell put on ice Jordan Mason put on ice by himself?
But the whole thing was they wouldn't give him the damn ball.
Yeah, that's true.
We kept saying, play him. Like, play him. Let him be the bell cow. Let him carry on first and second down, and then you mix a little Christian McCaffrey in there or put the 2 running backs out there or 3, whatever. They just wouldn't do it. But I think his value on special teams, John, is what really makes him stand out more than TDP, more than Elijah Mitchell, I hate
Yeah, I
to
like
say
that.
it. And
I
I
like
like
that.
Elijah Mitchell. I love
I
him.
did too. That's why I'm saying, like, is this, again, what's the Niners' philosophy? Is it let's go with the best player on our board? If that's Tajay Spears, so be it. We'll deal with whatever it is. Or do they say, look, we could, who's going again, the question that they always ask, who's going to make this roster? Who's going to make this roster?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a third round running back. I don't like it as much as you do, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. So let me ask you this, Wayne. Okay, here we go. What are the chances the Niners take a running back in the third round? If you had to put a percentage on it, your
It's
opinion,
like
what you
it's
think?
50-50. It's a
50?
50-50. It's every year it's 50-50.
Yeah, every year.
Because of the way they use. Think about what the 49ers do with their running backs. They use their running backs more than any other team in the league. They don't draft bell cows. They draft specific running backs with specific skill sets like Liam Nielsen. They draft those kind of running backs, right? And then they end up getting dinged up, banged up, and then they can't play. So they got to make sure they have a plethora of guys. The question you should be asking me is, if they don't trade any of these running backs, which one of these mother truckers will be able to make it to the practice squad? That's the question. They didn't cut Jordan Mason for a reason, and it's the reason John Chapman was talking about his whole damn last season. He was a monster. He was a monster. And if they would have cut him, oh my gosh, somebody would have picked him up. He would have got utilized. It would have been our loss. They weren't going to make the Caden Smith mistake again. They weren't going to do it. They just weren't going to do it. So they stashed him. They found a way to utilize him. They found ways to say, hey, TDP, you hurt this week, dog. TDP, like, I'm not hurt.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? The question is, if they draft a running back and they don't release a running back, where's this running back going to go? Who are they going to cut? It can't be TDP. Somebody's going to pick him up.
I think you're right. You're losing whoever you drop, though. Everybody loves Niners running backs. Miami will pick up whatever Niners running back, known to man. It doesn't matter. If they have access to him, they're going to. I think one of the biggest trades ever was that Jeff Wilson for a 5th rounder. We fleeced them. Gosh, man, that was such a great trade.
Listen,
I remember people being upset about that trade, and I was like,
pissed about that trade.
Like, really? Go look and see what Jeff Wilson did the rest of the year.
I will say this. The running back situation is going to be tricky, but the one person that Kyle Shanahan loves on this team more than anybody else is Bobby Turner.
Yep, and he back.
He back. And if Bobby Turner says, Kyle, there's a guy. Now, again, running backs can drop. And so that doesn't mean that they're going to use a 3rd round pick. Tajay Spears can go to the 5th round, or he could be in the 4th round and they like him and they trade up to go get him. So there are just different ways of things happening. You know what I'm saying? John, what a great show. Awesome. I was glad to do that so people can see what players still may be available. Again, it's a mock draft simulator. It's a computer, doing computer things. We don't know how it's going to go. We've seen these simulators go far to the left. How many players went in the 1st round? We haven't even seen in a mock draft. And so, very interesting. John, what are you most excited about tonight, baby?
I'm most pumped. One, the 49ers are going to add new players, and I can't wait to start breaking down film, man. I'm sure I've done some film on these guys already, but I want to see how they fit, what the Niners' thoughts are. I'm so pumped, man. This is a great day for the 49ers fans. Almost every NFL team should be getting at least one player today. This is going to be exciting. I'm so pumped, man. I'm so pumped.
Hey, John, as of right now, the 49ers haven't drafted. The Rams haven't drafted. Between the Cardinals and the Seahawks, which team is leading the NFC West in the draft?
In the draft only?
In the draft only, yeah.
If I had to say only players picked so far, you got to go Seahawks. I love Paris Johnson in a 1st next year. I would take Paris Johnson in a 1st next year over Jackson Smith and Jigba and Devin Witherspoon. So Cardinals, I'm going to give my tip of the cap to the Cardinals, man.
On the poll question, 63% of the faithful say that the 49ers do not trade up to round 2. They do not trade up to round 2. I would have been one of the 63% had I had a chance to vote. I don't think that they trade up as well. John, I had a great time. Can you take us home, baby?
Dude, you're the best, Wayne. I just really appreciate all that you bring, man. It's incredible. Our show was like 4.5 hours yesterday. Last night. wake up tired as hell. We show up. You bring the energy. You're yelling. You're doing all these things, and I freaking love it. The positivity. Just thank you, man. It's absolutely incredible. The community's awesome. Today's a great day. Wayne, thank you for letting me be on your show. Appreciate everything. And until next time, I want to do it the way I always do it. Stay strong, faithful. Love you guys, man.
Thanks for watching.